I want to welcome everybody around the world joining us on this webcast. This week we are looking at the Parashah Mishpatim, which has to do with the multiplicity of commandments that were given. Now, it starts now where they have just had been to the mountain where God would meet with them and where God would say, "This is my commandments," which we know as the 10 Commandments. And the word commandments is actually instructions. This is my instructions for you. Following that, there are now in this portion, this Torah portion, which is from Exodus chapter 21, verse 1 to 24, verse 18, there are now 53 commandments that are given in one Torah portion. Well, there is another Torah portion that we have more commandments than this particular one, but this is a lot of commandments. And so a lot of people will read this and just almost skip over it because they don't understand the importance of what is said here. Now, let's just look at this. It is now starting out to give a series of laws for people of Israel. And it starts with, number one, how do you deal with this servant? It also goes on to what the penalties of murder and kidnapping and assault and theft and civil laws pertaining the how to, when people have had damages, how to put them back in the position where they were, to restore them. So, and then it goes on and it gives all of the laws for the courts and how the courts should operate and how foreigners should be treated, that foreigners should not be mistreated. And it's about the observance of the festivals and the agricultural gifts that had to be brought to wherever the tabernacle or the temple would be, specifically then later on the temple, how they had to bring some of the agricultural gifts. And then it has this thing of the important commandment concerning prayer. Then we go on to see that God actually gives the people a promise. And he says to them, we will or you will go into the land of Israel. I promise that I will bring you into the land of Israel. And the people then makes this proclamation to say, we will do and we will hear, or we will listen and do to whatever God will tell us. In other words, we will shema. And then we see how Moses leaves Aaron and Hur in charge of the camp, and he ascends onto the mountain, and he's going to be there for 40 days and 40 nights. So what is the big idea of this particular parashah? Well, the big idea about this parashah is to treat people with justice and not to operate in an unjust way towards other people. So when we look at the instructions that is now given here, all of them deals with how to treat people justly. You know, it starts out with that. It has a hint of that. Has a hint of this living in justice, not living in injustice, but living in a just way with people. And in the end, it then comes to the place where it says that God says, I will take you into the land. I will now bring you into your inheritance. So if we really look at the big idea, it's not just about justice. It's more than justice. Because justice should bring us to freedom. And a lot of people do not understand freedom. They think that freedom is that I'm just free from my troubles. I don't have these problems anymore. A lot of times people will experience problems in their lives, and then they think, if I can just get out of the troubles, I will be free. No, you're not free. You're only free when you are living in a place where you are treated justly, and you can live in a place where you can produce a harvest. Because this is the idea of the fact that God is saying, I will take you into the promised land, and I will give it to you as an inheritance. An inheritance is something that can produce. That's not just a once-off gift. It's not just once-off that I'm now in the place where I have something. No, I can actually produce continuously. And to be able to produce continuously, we must be in a situation where there is justice. Whenever there is injustice, you cannot produce. You can maybe be blessed with a little gift, yes, but there's not a continuous thing of sowing and reaping and sowing and reaping and living where I am leaving a legacy, where I'm also leaving an inheritance for a next generation. So when I look at this Parashah Mishpatim, then the main message of this parashah is make sure that there is justice, that people are not being treated unjustly, not on a personal level and not on a corporate level in the courts, in magistrate courts. People must be treated justly, because if people are treated justly, it ensures their freedom. And that freedom gives them a chance. It gives them the opportunity to produce. So wherever there is injustice, people are bound and they cannot produce. They could not leave an inheritance. They cannot leave a legacy. They cannot have this thing that there must be continual production of living from freedom. And so this is the reason why one of the commandments that is right in the middle of all of this is the people must come up to the festivals. So why do they have to come up to the festivals? And also this commandment of bringing a portion as a gift from their agriculture that they would do. Because this is what it's all about. You see, the festivals are all linked to agriculture. And so when you start in the beginning of this agricultural cycle, which is September, October, with Rosh Hashanah, we let the earth rest, then you prune it, then and you plant, and then by the first festival, which is Pesach, we have a seed harvest come forth. And people bring the Bikurim. They bring this first fruit harvest from the seed. Then we get to Shavuot, which is the next major grouping of festivals, which is the Feast of Weeks. And then people bring another Bikurim, because now they are starting to harvest the fruit. And then we get to Sukkot, which is the end of the harvest time. So this whole idea of harvest and bringing of the first fruits of your harvest is right in the middle of this whole parasha, because it is telling us God wants us to have justice. God wants us to be in a place where we will pursue justice. The scripture says, justice, justice thou shalt pursue. Why? So that justice can ensure freedom. And that freedom will put us in a place where we can get into a cycle in our lives of sowing and reaping and experiencing a harvest. That's what God has for us. So it's not just about a lot of laws that we now read here in this particular parasha and say, oh, this thing is just full of a lot of laws. And I don't know, this it makes me confused. No, these laws are all there with one goal. Number one, to ensure justice. So that number two, there will be freedom. So that number three, we can live in the land and sow and reap and have a harvest. That's God's desire for you and me. His desire is that we should experience a harvest. So, on a personal level, we should live in such a way that we will never ever have injustice towards people. You know, the wonderful thing about this is when you go and read Hebrews chapter 12, verse 15, it says that verse 14 already says, pursue peace with all men, without whom, and holiness, without whom no man shall see God. Does that mean that if I don't have peace with people, and if I'm not walking in this holiness, that I will not see God? Well, we're not perfect. So there are times that we don't have peace. There are times that we are not walking in this holiness. But it's not speaking about you and me seeing God when we are living it. No, it's so that other people can see God's goodness, that other people can see God's grace, that other people can see God in and through us. And this is what it's about. We need to be in that place where other people can now start seeing God. And to be able for other people to see God, that there's fruit of our lives also. Not just the fruit that we get from the ground, by sowing and reaping. But we're also sowing and reaping into a spiritual ground. A spiritual ground where we have to say, fruit must come forth. And that fruit must be godly fruit. That other people can see that fruit. And then it says that we should in no way fall behind in grace. And that no root of bitterness will rise up. And that scripture where it speaks about root of bitterness, it says that bitterness does two things in our lives. First, the bitterness will defile us. It will cause an unrest in us. It says that we will not have an unrest in ourselves. Whenever you are bitter, whenever injustice has happened to you, or when you are the one who's doing the injustice in other people's lives, your life is defiled. And it produces from that place of being defiled. And so we need to be in a place where we will say, I will make sure that if I'm the one that's oppressed, I will walk in justice. I will forgive. I will make sure that I won't hold things against other people. But secondly, if I'm the one that's causing the injustice, then I need to repent of it. And I need to deal with it. And I need to ask for forgiveness. I need to give forgiveness. I need to ask for forgiveness. Because if I am either being defiled by what other people have done, the injustice that they've done, or if I'm the one doing the injustice, it says there's an unrest inside of me. It chases you all over and you do things which you normally won't do. But it also does something. It says it defiles the people around me. And so now the people around me are all in this situation where they are paying the price for what's happening to me or what I'm doing to others, because I have this root of bitterness. And we need to deal with the root of bitterness. The root of bitterness is the cause of injustice. If I'm being treated unjustly, it's because there's bitterness with someone else. If I'm treating others unjustly, it's because I have bitterness inside of myself. And if I deal with this bitterness, then I can produce justice in my own sphere of influence. Everywhere where you live, in your family, in your neighborhood, in the society, wherever we are, we have an influence. You have an influence on the people where you buy groceries. You have an influence on the people where you shop every day for whatever you need for your personal life. You have an influence where you work. It doesn't matter whether you're the manager or the boss or you're just one of the workers. You have an influence. And our influence should always be one of justice, that will put other people in the place of freedom. Because if they are in freedom, then they are being put in the place of being able to produce a harvest, to live in the land in liberty and produce a harvest. Also on a national level, it should be like that. Any country where there's injustice, where the people don't have justice, they don't have freedom. And that country will run down. That country will not be able to produce. On a corporate level, people will not be able to produce. And it'll go down and down and down and down. So yes, we need to address it firstly in our personal lives. We can make a difference. I want to tell you, you can look maybe at the circumstances in your country, wherever you are, and you might think, what can I do? How can I change things? Then I say the way that you can change things is in your own personal sphere of influence. When you change, people will change around you. When you give people that justice, that righteousness to pursue that, then you will give people freedom. And those people will be able to produce around you. And it'll grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. And one will chase 1,000, two will chase 2,000. And it's a multiplicity of bringing justice where you are. So many times we feel overwhelmed by what is happening in our societies. So many times we feel overwhelmed by what is happening in our family. And you think, how can I change things? The others don't want to. Well, it's not whether they want to. It's do you want to? If you want to, things can change. If you want to, your sphere of influence will give other people liberty. And at least there are more people having liberty than what there were before. So let us get to that place where we say, I will pursue righteousness. I will pursue it to bring righteousness and to bring justice and to bring freedom in my sphere of influence, in my own life, in my family, in my neighborhood, where I work, wherever I shop and move, my friends, every area of your life. And we don't always realize the extent of the influence we have. You have an influence. You have an influence. And you need to understand that. And every day in the actions that you take towards other people, you're influencing their lives. And so if I live from this perspective to say, I want to have an influence of justice, I want to have an influence of righteousness on other people, then what you are actually doing is you're creating a whole sphere of liberty for other people around you to be free, to inherit the land that God has promised us, and to be able to bring us to that place of being fruitful. We can never get to this place where we say, oh, we're giving up. No. Even if you just influence one person a day in your life, that means that you'll be influencing 365 people a year. And can you think that ripple effect, what it can have on other people all around us? Parashah Mishpatim is really speaking to us to say, let's pursue justice. Let's pursue righteousness. Let's pursue this to bring freedom to other people. Let's deal with bitterness. Let's make sure that whatever we do, we will always bring people to a place of being restored and being in a place where they can produce a harvest in their lives. If that is what we do, that is what we will sow, and that is what we will reap. Because whatever you sow is what you reap. And if you sow justice, and if you sow liberty to people, and if you sow it to them that they might be able to inherit their promised land and be able to sow and reap and live in freedom, because that's real freedom. Freedom is not to be removed from your problems. Freedom is when you are in the place where you can also produce a harvest. Let's make that the aim and goal of our lives, to produce a harvest, so that everyone around us will live in justice and live in freedom and live in a place of being able to produce. Then, and only then, we are fulfilling the obligations and the commandments of Mishpatim, of these 53 instructions that are given. Because it's not about the letter of how we fulfill everything. No, it's about the fruit that will come from this. It's about how we order every part of our lives and say, I want to order it in such a way that justice will be around me, that people will live in that justice and in that freedom, and people will inherit their promised land. People will inherit the portion, the heritage that God has for them. And God's heritage from the beginning has always been, let us make man in our image and in our likeness, that they will have dominion here with the result of being fruitful and multiply. May this week be a week of multiplication for you, because you are putting other people in the place where they can multiply. So what you sow is what you will reap. God bless you. And may you have a wonderful, wonderful week of peace and joy.